What's up, fam, and welcome back again to Recap Kickback. It's me, your host, Chappell, and we're back to talk about another Black media, television, movie, whatever the case may be. We're back to talk about it here, and it's a special treat. Something that a lot of Black folks have been waiting on, and a lot of white folks have been waiting to criticize. It's Ironheart, and with me to talk about Ironheart, my lovely co-host, I guess the Riri of this podcast, Riri. What's up?
Yes, go Riri. Go Riri. That's niece. So, so glad to be here talking Marvel, talking Ironheart, talking a property that's so good and so diverse. I know people must be mad out there. I saw that there was some review bombing already, like as soon as it dropped. So we must be talking about a good property led by a Black woman, if that's the case. So
sounds about right, Mari. Yeah, I heard the haters are out, but we're going to let our haters be our motivators. And we brought in a Marvel expert to talk about episodes 1 through 3 of Ironheart. It's Jason Reed. Jason, welcome.
Hey, Chappell, Mari. I think I would consider myself the Rampage of this group. You know, easily replaceable, easily demotable, always looking for the better version. But happy to be here to talk to you guys about Ironheart and really get into the newest property about that or it's being quickly pushed out the door by Disney Plus.
Yeah. So, first of all, if you're listening, of course, thank you for subscribing, for tuning in every week. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting on? Recapkickback.com/subscribe or youtube.com/@recapkickback. You can hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure you like the video because they don't want to hear us talk about this. Okay. So if you like it, maybe it'll get some spins in YouTube and people be forced to hear our black asses talk about this black ass show. But Jason makes a very good point. If you were surprised that Ironheart is already out, that the first 3 episodes are out, and that the next 3 episodes will be out next week and it will be completely done, join the club because Disney almost didn't advertise this at all. I think we started to hear about it dropping on Disney Plus, like regular commercials, maybe about 3 weeks ago. You know, I don't know if they were just distracted by Thunderbolts and all the hype that's around that. I'm being sarcastic if you can't pick that up. But for some reason, they just managed to forget to talk about Ironheart, and so we are going to do that here today. Mari,
yes,
I want to be the first one on the panel to say this. I love this. I loved it, and they can hate all they want. I liked it a lot. I don't really have to see anybody else's reviews because mine today will be mostly positive. What about you?
No, I completely agree. I think these first 3 episodes had everything and like scene setting. If you love a good heist movie, you'll love this. I love when it's like we're about to do a heist and here's our gang and everybody has their set of skills and all of that. So I had a lot of fun with these first 3 episodes, and the pacing of the story I found I really liked it. Like the 3 episodes felt longer than 3 episodes in like a good way. I was like, they got so much like packed into those 3 episodes without it feeling overly jammed. And where the 3rd episode ends, I can definitely see like it feeling like a middle point, so that when we get the next 3 episodes, it's like Act 1 versus Act 2 type deal. But yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, Jason, what about you? Before getting into any big spoilers, did this live up to what we, again, Black folks, would consider the hype?
Yeah, I think so. I think this was a lot of fun, right? I think there's a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of great actors involved. I think there's a lot of great character work involved, especially with Riri and Natalie. I think that's a really fantastic relationship and how that points to getting over grief and how people deal with that stuff. So I think there's a lot of good themes in here. And like Mari said, the heist stuff was just a lot of fun. It was just like a really fun journey we took in these first 3 episodes. Is it perfect? I mean, of course not. There's quibbles to be had with some things, but I think for the most part, it was fun. I've learned with Marvel to not think everything's going to be on an end game level. It's okay if it's just a fun experience. It doesn't have to be the end all be all universe defining thing.
It doesn't have to be WandaVision.
Right. It can be a smaller story and you can be okay with that. It doesn't have to have, total world implications. I think that's what this is. It's a smaller story and it fits the environment and the purpose that this is supposed to fit.
Yeah, Chappelle, real quick. That is something I wanted to ask you, Jason, because it to me, as somebody who's married to somebody who's a comic book deep into it, deep into the Marvel stuff, all that, but who tangentially is just like, just let me know when the next thing comes out, and sure, I'll go see it. How are you feeling about the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Do you feel like maybe we need to just like do something completely different? Should we forget these phases? Phase 5, I don't even know what phase 4. I don't know what phase we're in.
Nobody
Do you
knows.
think I just want to say, do you think it needs a different direction? Or is it okay? Like, what are your overall thoughts about what Marvel is doing?
The thing about the MCU is it's gotten itself into this predicament where everyone feels differently about it. And the phase 1 is such a great mix of movies, great storytelling, culminating in the Avengers. And then we do phases 2 and like I said, I don't know the phases anymore, but like 2 and whatever phase ends Endgame, right? That it felt like a stopping point there at Endgame. And now it's like, what now? What next? You've gotten the pinnacle of superhero movies. What do you do now? And I think Marvel is still trying to figure out, what do we do now? Because it all feels so random. It feels like there's no cohesive story. It feels like we are just introducing characters to introduce them and not following up on them. There are the current Marvel universe is littered with characters that have been introduced and never circled back around on. There's been no cohesive story to follow, where it felt like in the first few phases of Marvel, we were following a cohesive story. We were getting cameos from other movies to other people, buddy movies, just propel the story forward. It doesn't feel like that now. It feels random. It feels scattered. It does not feel, like I keep saying, cohesive. It doesn't feel that way.
Yeah. I've been trying to quit this.
Yeah. And the properties they are bringing forward they're trying, right? They're trying, but it's like it doesn't feel like they are investing the resources they need to be in a lot of these properties, specifically most of the Disney Plus show things. Disney Plus shows should be a tie-in into the movies, but it feels like they are so scared to do that. They don't want to over invest in these things to make it a bigger part of the world, to really kind of bring everybody in, because they're scared that they don't want people to be like, oh, I didn't see this, so I can't go see this. So it really kind of feels like the Disney Plus stuff is more of a cast off than anything else.
To me, Jason, that's where they messed up, though, because they already did that. They did make it to where you had to watch the Disney Plus stuff to follow the show. When Mari mentioned WandaVision, I loved WandaVision, but you don't get the lead up to the Marvels without WandaVision, right? Tiana Paris's character is so like important to that. WandaVision itself is so important to, you know, what comes next. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness with Wanda in it. You know, Strange. So you kind of need those, and then now they're like, "Well, we did too much. Let's take it back."
And Thunderbolts, you're gonna miss out if you didn't see Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that Disney Plus show, which a lot of people didn't see. So there are characters in that you're like, "What the hell? Like, what is going on?" So, and the thing about this current phase of Disney Plus shows is that these shows have been made with a certain philosophy that is no longer the philosophy. At a certain point, they're like, yes, let's get all these properties out there, let's get all these characters, but now it's gone to more a scaled back model. So now they're like, let's just throw this out the door and pretend like we didn't even do it, because they already started casting for Ironheart. They already started shooting Ironheart before they chose to change up their philosophy. Like, we're doing too much, let's scale back. So now they're not trying to promote things. Now you can also look at the kind of things they are choosing to promote and things they are choosing not to promote. Daredevil Born Again, 9-episode season, 1 a week. Well, 2 in the first week, 1 in the weeks after that, then 2 the last week. Big promotion push, huge. Ironheart, no promotion, as you said, Chappell, kind of getting your thrown out there, no big attention paid to it. And you can look at the heroes that are talked about in these movies. Daredevil, straight, white, male, hero, boom. Ironheart, black female hero. You can see the difference. Same thing with Echo recently. Echo was just thrown out the door. Y'all don't even remember Echo. I look at you searching your memory banks. You don't even remember. Echo is connected to the Daredevil universe. She is a Native American hero. She is deaf. She has a prosthetic leg, and she had a series. She had a whole series, Mari, a whole series that came out.
Oh my gosh!
I think a year or so ago. me and Sasha talked about it on Everything is Super back in the back when that was a thing. So yeah, these things just kind of thrown out there, and again, it was more of a like, let's throw all the episodes out, do no promotion of it, and you can kind of see the difference in care that Disney has for these things. Same thing with She-Hulk. The problem with She-Hulk is love She-Hulk, but they didn't give resources to it, right? Graphics were all over the place. It was a little messy, a little shoddy, and they didn't care to do that with She-Hulk. So you can kind of see the difference in care that Disney is giving to these properties.
Yeah, I went to the Wikipedia article, and it looks like I think I could be wrong, but we're somewhere in this window between phase 5 and phase 6. So Thunderbolts is the last film in phase 6. Fantastic Four is the first film in phase 6, and so Ironheart is like a week before phase 6. Oh yeah,
it's in limbo. It's just out there.
It's not even on the Wikipedia page. That's what I'm saying. Like, you would think it would be at the bottom of phase 5, or at the top of phase 6. It's not. And I haven't gone back and looked. So maybe they just took all the television shows out of there. But Jason made a great point. He brought up Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I wonder why a lot of people didn't watch that one. Who was the lead
I like
in
that one.
Yeah, me too. I loved it. And you do need to watch it to really understand Thunderbolts and some of the weird stuff that Bucky is doing. But that is a conversation for another time. But as far as this show goes, Maury, I enjoyed watching it. I feel like if people gave it a real chance, then maybe they would enjoy it too. I know that as we were talking about, it was review bombed. What do you remember what the percentages were? Like what the reviews were looking like? I think it was like
it was at like 39%. I want to say,
meter,
yeah, like literally 2 seconds after it was released.
No, it was like 2 hours before it was released. They had already review bombed it prior to it dropping, which is insane. It doesn't make any sense
now.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going up, right? Like I feel like people are going to watch it and try to swing the pendulum in the other way, but
it's at 86 right now.
Yeah, so that's really that's good because people are watching it, and I think people are enjoying it. So if you haven't already checked it out, of course, go watch Ironheart because we are going to talk about it broad strokes, but we're going to talk about all the spoilers and stuff like that, maybe some Easter eggs because we do have Jason here as our resident expert. But yeah, overall, I thought it was fun. We got the first 3 episodes out the way. What's up, Mari?
I see Ironheart was originally slated for phase 4. That's why it's not shown in phase 5 or phase 6. It was actually originally slated to come out in June 2022. They're saying it was slated to come out before Wakanda Forever. So
it was delayed quite a bit due to many different things, writer strikes and everything else. It got really pushed back onto the back burner, which is why it's just kind of like they're just kind of treating it like a broken toy in the toy box. Like, all right, well, I guess you can have this here, take it.
Yeah, it's like they had it, and oh my god, I'm looking at all the phase 4 properties. And yeah, it was like the last things that I truly was paying attention to. But yeah, it's kind of like they're like, okay, we have this, let's put it on there. It's no matter what, it's content for our streaming service. And the sad thing is we just have to like suck it up and be grateful that they put it on the streaming service, because it could be like Batgirl and Warner Brothers and be scrapped and never see the light of day, which still pisses me off. My God, let me be quiet.
No, then let me start. Where is Blade? Where is Blade? Y'all lied
was
to
originally
me.
in this too.
Y'all lied to me.
Phase 4 too.
Y'all brought Mahershala out on stage and did this whole to-do, and you lied to me, Jason. I will never forgive them for Blade, ever.
Yeah, I mean, Blade is such a weird circumstance because they did all the promotion. They did all, like you said, brought Mahershala Ali out on stage, teased him in the Eternals, and now through whatever circumstance, it's not even in production anymore. It's not even development. I feel like they even shot some stuff for Blade. It was just like, nope, it's not good enough. Nope. It's not good. We're scrapping it. Mahershala Ali hated what they did. Everybody hated what they did. Like, you know what? Just forget it. We're not going to do Blade anymore. When I think Blade could be like a resurgence of like what Chadwick Boseman did for the MCU. Blade could do the same thing. Bring another great black hero out, give him a kick-ass movie, and you would have people loving Blade in this universe. But they just couldn't get it right. And I think they probably lost Mahershala Ali like in this process because he's probably so pissed off that they like jerked him around like that to have like multiple directors, multiple scripts. He's probably just pissed off at this point. He's like, forget it, I don't want to do it anymore anyway.
And I'm looking back at some of this stuff that in phase 4, I like the Hawkeye show. I really watched that. Why? I did not like it. Like, why was I forced to watch that if it never came to anything? Moon Knight. Love Moon Knight. Where's Moon Knight?
Where's Moon Knight?
Yeah, where is Moon Knight?
Yeah, so like I said, there's MCU is littered right now with characters they have introduced and just thrown away. In Secret Invasion, which was one of the worst properties the MCU has ever done, they introduced this.
To that.
Yeah, they introduced this super powerful person by the end of it, who is basically a Skrull who can change into any hero. They're like, this person is the most powerful hero we have, and now she's just disappeared. It was Emilia Clarke, the Mother of Dragons, Daenerys, and she just like has disappeared, never to be seen again. So that's the problem with Marvel right now. There's just too many loose ends not tied up.
I love the Secret Invasion comic book storyline.
Oh, and it was great. And they just shit all over it. They shit all over it. It was just like it was the worst. And it feels like Riri is going to be another in a long line of just forgotten characters by the end of this.
I don't want to be that woke friend, but here I am. Because where's Armor Wars? Rhodey don't get a show no more. What happened? I thought Rhodey's show got slowed down. Blade's show got slowed down. They barely gave Riri any attention. I'm about to go grab my kente cloth real quick and tell y'all this ain't no coincidence. Because I don't think they ever canceled Armor Wars. Like, I think it's supposed to still happen.
It was, I forgot which order it was. It was either a movie at first and then turned to a TV show, or it was a TV show then turned to a movie.
It says it was a Disney Plus. It was going to be a Disney Plus original, and it was supposed to come out between Ironheart, Wakanda Forever, Secret Invasion, and the Marvels.
Yeah, so I forgot. It was. I think it was. It's now been turned into a movie at this point, and. Let's not get started on what Secret Invasion did to poor Rhodey. Let's not go there. But and I think that's it's a real failing. It's not a failing, but it's something I'm missing in this movie, right? Is that support from the greater MCU. Rhodey should be here. Shuri should be here. Giving like, let's not forget, Riri debuted in Wakanda Forever. The show kind of wants you to forget that because it's never really mentioned except for a montage in the very beginning of the show, but they kind of want you to forget that. She should be having conference with Shuri. Rhodey should be like, hey, what the hell? You're making a new Iron Man suit? What's up with that? Yeah, let's get some blood in here that the viewers are used to and that will bring them to this property. Instead, they just kind of like let Riri do her own thing.
Yeah, even some of the criticisms I've seen that aren't just like, boo, this is woke, blah, blah, blah. A lot of it was, where is Tony Stark's actual influence in this? And I think it's not so much that she needs his influence, it's that the show needs the support, right? You need the character to really drag the people in. And I know the MCU understands that because they won't let these characters die. Why is Robert Downey Jr. in the next, like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you know that, if you know that you can't continue without some of these big names that you have literally killed off, then you know the benefit of having them in these shows and in these smaller movies and whatever. So I'm just going to say that.
If we were living in a just world, right? So in the comic series, Riri starts off when Tony Stark is not in the picture, right? She starts off without Tony Stark. Tony Stark is not really a huge presence in her life because he's not in the scene at the moment, but she does create an AI that is Tony Stark. Like, Tony Stark is represented as her AI. Do you know how many people would flock to this show if they were able to get Robert Downey Jr. in here as AI, as anything, even a cursory something that would make headlines, would draw people to the show, but because of contracts and Robert Downey Jr. needs a whole bank in order to appear in anything, we can't have that.
Okay, well, that wraps up our woke corner of the podcast. I'm sure we'll have much more to get into that, but yeah, all that to say, we did a little complaining, but listen, go check it out for yourself, see if you like it. Let us know in the comments how you felt about Ironheart, because we're about to get into the show as a whole. including spoilers and all that good stuff, because we're really tiptoeing around a lot of stuff. So go ahead and check that out, and then come back and join us for the next step of this. So Jason, for the people who've watched this, Ironheart, this Riri is like, she's like the new Tony Stark replacement these days, right? As far as like we're getting in this show, she has the same like the same idea about these suits. You know, she's following kind of in his footsteps and saying that these suits could take her to the next level, but she's broke. She ain't got no money. And I think the show is really leaning into the idea that like she could be great, but she does not have the same privilege of Tony Stark, who is a billionaire, who was born rich. You know, it's like one thing to be a genius, but it's another thing to be a genius and to also be rich and have all the resources in the world at your disposal. And so that to me is like the overarching problem. And then we get into some of these other layers with grief and anxiety and all the like morality, I guess, ethics when it comes to these mechanics and, you know, and tech and all this other stuff. But for me, the biggest part that they kind of like just throw it as in the beginning is the privilege, right? The thing that she doesn't have.
And I think that's where a lot of these review bombing people are doing, because when Riri does point out that difference of like, well, Tony Stark had it all. He was just a rich white guy. I think people really like came after the show for that, but it's true. And I do like that Riri and Tony are similar in so many ways. They both have this chip on their shoulder. They both have kind of a big ego, and they have to kind of prove themselves in this way. And Riri, similar to how Tony had to do in the cave, had to build a suit with a box of scraps. That's literally what Riri's doing. She's going to a junkyard, getting scrap material to build this suit. It's of course not in the same way as Tony, because she's not being held hostage by terrorists, but it's kind of the same thing. She has to start from scratch. She has to do this, but it's not because she's being held in the cave. It's because she's poor. She doesn't have money, but she's doing it herself. Yes, it's not as an impressive suit as the more recent Tony Stark Iron Man models, but she can't do it. It's just not possible, but she's still finding a way to do it.
Yeah, the show goes out of its way to make Riri say a very specific line. There's a moment where she comes in contact with John, who we'll talk about, and he says, you know, like, hey, you're 10 times better than that Tony Stark guy. And she says, I'm not about to bash Tony Stark. He's great and he's done so much. It's just that I don't have the money that he has. Boom. They make her go out her way and say, no shade to Tony Stark. And then immediately people were like, this is shade to Tony Stark. Mari, you damn if you do, you damn if you don't.
Exactly. Because there's nothing in that sentence that she said was incorrect. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always, you know, opportunity meets means is what produces things. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can always have the mean, you can always have the opportunity. Well, no, you might not have either one of them if you're poor, like a lot of Black people here, like, you know, or marginalized communities. So yeah, I thought that she handled that pretty well. And I like the motivation of like, okay, I just need funding. If I have funding, then I can do this. And it kind of, the whole time, I really wish that they kind of explained the Wakanda connection a little bit more, because the whole time in the beginning when she's being like basically kicked out of school because they were funding her, but they didn't like what she was producing, I was really sitting there like, okay, but what about Wakanda? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
it feels like this. It feels like this elephant in the room. Where it's like Riri doesn't have many resources. You just came from Wakanda last month. Like, girl, like, call Shuri. I think at the end of Wakanda Forever, I think they did make a point to be like, hey, you can't keep the suit, but we'll get, like, I forgot what, I think Shuri gave her something or other, but they don't really even call attention to it here. But I do wish they would give us Riri's motivation a little bit more, because she does mention like, hey, I want these suits to help first responders, but we don't really hear that again. It also is a little ego driven, which is fine, which is great, but let me hear more of the motivation. I want to hear her be like, I want to be better than Tony Stark. That is my goal. I think that is a good enough goal for me to root for you in this show, but I don't feel like we're hearing enough of what her motivation, her end goal is in the series so far, anyway, in this first 3 episodes.
No, I agree. It's kind of just like they're presenting, like it's just that hyper focus. Like she's just so hyper focused on making a suit, making this, making that, that she was letting stuff fall by the wayside, which is she's letting her schoolwork fall by the wayside. She wasn't doing whatever they wanted her to do. She was coloring outside of the lines, and they're like, we can't cover you. We can't give you more money if you're doing like illegal things, like, you know, plagiarism, where you're giving tests to all these people and stuff like that. So the motivation is lacking a little bit, because it just feels like she just is so focused on inventing and producing, which I believe is a you know, what spurs on genius, but it's also like, but kind of like, can you tell us
like, where are we going? Like, what,
yeah,
what is
like,
this all for? What is your end goal?
Yes, exactly. What's the end goal?
Yeah, I think even as I get through the first 2 episodes, there are moments where people are like, but why are you doing this? You know, Ezekiel will ask her, why do you want to make this suit? And she's like, because I can, because I literally have the ability to do it. So I want to do it. And it's like, that's it. That's her entire motivation. So it's really hard to get behind that, because like Jason said, it is basically ego. You know, it's like, I have the ability to do this, thus I would like to do it. And I shouldn't have to be limited by like some higher cause or whatever. It's just, I want to do it. But for us, I think watching it as a superhero that you want to root for, it's like, yeah, but like if she was still tied to what she was saying at the beginning, which is these suits could revolutionize the world in so many different ways. It's like she touched on those a couple times, but they don't really
keep it up. Yeah, keep it up. Like, keep saying things to that nature. Like, I want to do this because this and that. Because by the time you get to episode 3, it's just like, well, it kind of seems like you're just doing this to make more money. It almost seems like you're just doing this to get more rich and to yes, you want to build into the suit, but why do you keep building into the suit? I also would just love if she was just like, no, I want to prove I am better than Tony Stark. I can take that as a motivation. I would love that as a motivation to say, like, I want to compare myself to what Tony Stark did. I want to prove I'm better than Tony Stark. I would take that for sure. It would enrage the fanboys, no doubt. But I would definitely love to see that kind of fire in her, because, you know, at a certain point she becomes comfortable with this like kind of crew of criminals, and it's like, well, it's getting a little harder to root for you at certain points, until she kind of realizes the situation she's in at the end of episode 3. In like episode 2, like, well, it just seems like you just want to do this, like, for no reason.
Yeah, but do you think that's a product of the writing, or do you think that's a product of the character? Like, is she money motivated by episode 3? We see them doing a money shower, you know, and like literally just like hanging out and being like, we're rich, we did it, we've made it. Natalie, who we'll talk about, of course, is telling her like, these shady individuals, and she's like, yeah, but there's money though. So it's like, I don't know if we're supposed to go there with the character, or if the writing just left us not sure of her motivation. Maybe she wasn't sure.
I think the end result will tell us a lot, right? That where Riri ends up by episode 6 will give us a journey of where is she at the end? How is she feeling at the end about her place in the world? Does she want to be a hero? What does she want by the end of this?
Yeah, because to me, it kind of feels like just a superhero allegory about like about not having the means, so you slip into criminal activity or gang activity. It's not lost on me that she's from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? It's like smart black kid was at MIT, got kicked out of school, and now she's running with criminals. Like, how many times have we seen that? That was the basis of Snowfall. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like that same type of allegory, just now there's superhero suits involved, and it's like, I need more overall plot wise, but the show itself left me, I didn't need anything more. Like, it was really good. You know what I'm saying? Like, the acting, the show was great. The tone was great. The acting was great. All of that was really good. But now that we're sitting here and talking about it, I think, like we said, the overall, like the overarching plot is kind of missing. And again, it goes back to maybe because this can't be plugged into the MCU as a whole.
Yeah. The show itself is fun. I think I would love some more characterization of certain characters. I think the crew needs a lot more texture. Needs a lot more like, because we get introduced to these people like, hey, this person likes to throw knives, this person likes to do tech stuff, and then we just don't get more. Right? They stick to their archetype, and it's like, okay, cool, but I don't really care about these characters at the end of the day.
So let's talk about the characters in this. Mari, what did you think about Dominique Thorne as our leading lady here as Ironheart?
I mean, she's great. She was great in Wakanda Forever. She's great here. You really feel her passion. You can really feel her struggle. She's a great actress. I was trying to think of what else she's been in.
Judas and the Black Messiah, I believe. Yes. If Beale Street Could Talk as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that was her debut, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Beale Street. I love Beale Street. So she's bringing it to you every ball. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like, again, where are we going with this? You know what I'm saying? But she I think really brought the rawness when we get her backstory about with Natalie and her stepdad and all of that as well. So I mean, no, she's doing a great job, and I think she's the perfect person to lead this project.
Okay, and as far as our lead villain here goes, Jason, I know this is somebody Mari knows well, but are you familiar with Anthony Ramos's work?
Yeah, I think came to prominence with Hamilton. I think is probably where his breakout is. And then I do think I remember a Transformers movie where he was like the main person.
Beast Wars.
Oh,
very good.
Yeah. So
Beast Wars.
I think
Rise of the Beast. My son's favorite. Yeah, Rise of the Beast. Yes, it's one of my son's favorite movies.
I think Anthony Ramos is always someone I felt
I really like that one too.
Should be way more famous than he is. Here, and again, the character itself, I need more information because he just seems like he doesn't have enough for me yet to make me say this is a great villain in the Marvel universe. Like I look at a Kingpin, a Loki, a Killmonger, and it doesn't take long for me to be like, this is a great villain. This person has pulled this off fantastically. I'm not feeling that yet for the Hood, and it hurts me because the Hood itself, the actual garment, looks terrible. It looks really bad.
Is this a Marvel character, Jason?
Yes, this is a Marvel character.
Oh, James couldn't place them.
Yeah, made famous in a Avengers arc, like the new Avengers arc. He's kind of similar to the way the character is portrayed here in a way. I mean, for those that aren't picking it up, it does seem like the Hood is possessed by some sort of demon. And that is true to the character in the comic books. I do think Parker Robbins in the comics was like just a white guy, but I think they've switched it up here, which is great, fantastic.
Woke. I'm sorry.
Yes. So yeah, he is pretty true to the character, and if rumors are true, the demon this Hood is hooked up to in this property is going to be an interesting addition to the MCU as a whole. But I'll save that for our next talk about Ironheart.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I think he is a comic book person. Very like he made an impact on the scene when he came in the comic books. This I'm still waiting to be impressed by the Hood.
Yeah. Speaking of his motivations, right? Like, so the Hood, we're led to believe is a guy who, he comes from like being on his own. All he had was him and his cousin. And then through whatever means, he gets this demonic robe, this hood. And then he goes and he turns it into like a crime syndicate. And at first it does like the show is trying to give us that maybe these criminals have like a heart of gold. It's like, they're committing crimes, but that lady's tunnel destroys people's, communities, or that guy is, putting all the local farmers out of business. So we're, we're on up and up. And then there are moments where people are trying to talk him down, and it'll be something like the news report, Mari was like, oh yeah, and when we catch these petty criminals, we're gonna bring them to justice. And he like, nah, we keeping the party going. Nah, we gonna turn up. So it's kind of like the show wants us to believe that, okay, this man might have some motives that are like a little altruistic or whatever, but like deep down, he still sucks. We just haven't got there yet.
Criminals, yeah.
and the thing is, they're hinting at a much deeper motivation, but they're saving it for the back half. I think if you want me to really get invested in a villain, you need to give me their backstory pretty soon up front, because I'm not not seeing it yet. I think if we had more room in the Ironheart story, maybe if we had 8 episodes or 10, we could have a whole like big episode devoted to how the Hood got the Hood, got its powers. I think with this condensed 6 episode arc, I think I'm going to be a little let down in how they portray the origins and what the true story is of how he got the Hood. I think they might just yada yada it, which I'm not gonna love. We do know every time he puts on the Hood, he's getting a little more infected by whatever demon is controlling it.
That's what it seemed.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like, but we're just not getting enough information yet to keep me hooked. If I wasn't a Marvel fanboy myself, that was just like, no matter what, I'm finishing this. I don't know if I would be tempted enough to follow the Hood's story to be like, I really got to see how this guy became the Hood, because I don't know if I would be invested enough in that story.
Yeah, so far to me, it kind of just feels like kind of Robin Hoodie. Like, you know, they're like, yes, we're stealing, but we're stealing from these big billionaire corporations.
But instead of giving to the poor, we're giving to ourselves.
We're giving to ourselves.
Yeah, we are poor. We are poor.
Yeah, so we're getting poor, right?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Jason, I know you're a Marvel fanboy, but you're also a This Is Us expert. And so how do you feel? How do you feel seeing Lyric here as Natalie? Lyric Ross played by who played Deja Peterson, I guess, on This Is Us. I've never seen This Is Us.
Yes. Deja was a standout character on This Is Us. Lyric Ross, a standout actor in anything she does. I haven't seen her in much else besides This Is Us, but seeing her here, and the great thing about Lyric Ross as Natalie is she brings this lightness, right? That Dominique Thorne is not necessarily bringing as Riri.
Yeah.
Lyric and Natalie are kind of balancing that out by bringing out the fun, the lightness, and even encouraging Riri to be a little more light in her character. So I think it's a great balance of these two characters, and you can tell the chemistry is there between the two actors, as you know, their friendship feels lived in and feels real.
Right. Exactly. Mari, I was going to ask you how you felt about the dialogue, because you do have these two Black women kind of in this role, and this is a Black ass show. Did you feel like the dialogue felt real, the way they were talking and interacting, even though she was AI, but she was still her best friend?
I actually did. I didn't write it down, but I did note like a lot of the different phrases. They didn't feel out of place. It wasn't not clocking. You know?
Are you not standing on business? Don't know if I'm clocking.
Yeah, it didn't feel too much, right? Because I think I think even scripts written by Black people can feel too much sometimes, but this felt like the exact right amount of dialogue.
Yeah, it felt like two besties, like two homegirls kicking it. So I really agree. I like their chemistry. Lyric Ross, her face looks so familiar to me. I was like, she looks so familiar. And then when I looked her up, I don't watch This Is Us. I didn't watch a lot of that, but it was kind of funny. I said her face kind of reminds me of Lashana Lynch. It's like if Lashana Lynch and the girl from Forever put their faces together. It was like her. She's so pretty. But like I just really love the balance here, because not only is she the funny comedic relief, she's also the voice of reason. Again, she's also the one like, hey, these are bad guys. Like you realize that, right? You realize this. Like, so I appreciated her here.
So go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, and the funny thing about Natalie is it's coming from Riri's brain, so it's almost like her conscience is trying to tell her like, these are bad people, like what are you doing? But for whatever reason, Riri's like overriding that up to the point we are now in the story. So it's very interesting to know that Natalie is a memory that Riri has.
Yeah, and it's funny because she like will use her memory to personify what she like, her conscience in Natalie, like how you would do if you were like, I wonder what my mama would say about this, like it's like, oh, I wonder what this would say. It's kind of like you like, because we're gonna talk about it, and we might as well get into it now. Natalie's the conflict with Natalie here is that she is a memory of her deceased homegirl, and so we're going to see Riri is not somebody who is chosen to grieve. She has decided that she's just not going to do it. She's going to go off. She's going to go to school. She's going to create. She's going to go to Dubai. She's going to do anything except go to therapy, and like most women are. And so, and so, so Natalie being brain mapped off of her by accident, I guess, because I guess she tried to do it, but she wasn't trying to create Natalie, her friend.
Yeah.
But with that happening, it's forcing her to confront the dark side, right? The part that, you know, she's probably been ignoring, which is her friend and her stepdad were both murdered in a drive-by in the garage where she kind of found her love for technology and for creating. And so while Natalie is her conscience, it's also a constant reminder of the grief that she refuses to even acknowledge, to the point where when she is face down with a cop, you know, it wouldn't be a Black show if we didn't have a cop. So the cop / security guard is pointing the gun at her. She's still wearing her suit, and Natalie's projection is out in front of him. So he sees the two Black women. Basically, he has the gun on him. He's basically saying, like, you need to put that suit up, turn the suit off. She's trying to get the suit turned off, but Natalie won't do it. Mari, is this just her freezing up due to her own anxiety?
Oh yeah, it's PTSD for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like that, and I don't even know why that was there. Like every time, it's like every time we just have to have a police shootout there. But anyways, yeah, no, I just really think she froze there, and she just couldn't cope with everything that was happening in front of her.
Jason, it made it seem like she was like telling Natalie to do it, and Natalie wouldn't do it. But girl, that's your mind. Natalie is your brain. Yeah,
that's a great point.
She's freezing herself up in that moment, where it's just like she has such anxiety in this moment. Put on top of the fact that there's a gun involved, where gun violence took her friend and her father, and also police involved. So yeah, in that moment, she froze up, meaning AKA Natalie froze up as well.
Yeah,
great point.
It's such a cool show to watch them interacting, but to see that we're going to have to struggle with her anxiety and with her, grief and all that stuff, because, we do meet her mom, who also is trying to get her to grieve. We get the flashbacks of her stepdad. We meet her love interest, Mari, Xavier. Is this who
Ezekiel?
The Black guy.
No, the Black guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Full transparency. So as I'm watching this, I got kids, and my son is asking me to play Roblox with him at one point. I really looked up and I was like, who is this guy? Like there's two instances where I was like, who is this Black guy? Is this like her cousin? And then where did Ezekiel come from? Where did this white guy come from? So I can't help you here. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, too many X's here. Xavier, Ezekiel, we can't.
Yeah.
But so Xavier is interesting, right? Because Xavier is giving vibes, right? Xavier's like, I'm down. The feelings like I'm down. And Riri's just too out of it to even clock that. She's just like,
I think I did too. I didn't realize he was throwing vibes either.
Oh yeah, he asked her out on a date. He definitely he made her a mixtape, Mari. That's basically a proposal.
Yeah.
Somebody make you a mixtape. That's it. It's a wrap. They in love. And so he made her a mixtape. But get this, Mari. In the mixtape, the audio is like his music, but he has like almost like an interlude of Natalie. Her voice is in the mixtape because that's his sister. And he's like kind of like the person in the show who has grieved the loss of Natalie. And so while he's like, hey, let's think about the memories of Natalie. Let's remember all the good times. Riri's like, boy, get away from me.
And that's what I remember. That like the headphones. She's trying to give him new headphones, and he's like, no, I like these headphones. Natalie gave them to me. Like
she's like, la. She's like, nah, Natalie.
So I think he's obviously into Riri, and Riri's just too caught up in her own stuff to even really pay any mind, which is interesting. So yeah, I like that little relationship. They seem to be real good friends now. I think Xavier probably wants more, and Riri's just like, I don't know, you're just my friend.
Yeah, I doubt she's gonna have any room for him after what happens in episode 3. We could talk about it, but in episode 3, we do lose one of the main characters through those first 3 episodes, in John, because basically he is on to Riri. He can tell she's kind of suspicious of the hood. She wants to go in and she wants to analyze it and figure out how this happens, because magic is not a real answer, right? Magic is what you say when you don't know how something works. You just say it's magic. So she's trying her best to get her hand on this hood. And throughout, I think a few other people are asking, and John is probably the most protective over the hood. He knows that there's something either sinister about it or something that they can't let in, but they haven't told them that the hood is like off limits, right? We understand it's off limits. Obviously, Parker is keeping it in a vault, so it's got to be a little protected.
And John is the one who brings her into the crew, right?
He's the recruiter, right. Yeah. And so by the end of this, they're confronted, and Jason, Riri leaves him for dead. And I saw online people were not happy about that. Like, Tony Stark would never kill him. I was like, what do you think these blasts do to people when he hits them with them?
Yeah, exactly. It's like Batman doesn't kill people, but I mean, he does maim them for life, and he probably wish
jumping on someone's neck. Yeah, like I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. Batman has a gun. Okay, them bullets is hitting people. Batfleck had a gun, a machine gun. He was killing people. But Jason, people didn't like Riri leaving John for dead.
Yeah, and I think the way the show presented it was almost like she didn't really have a choice. I mean, this man was in the middle of trying to kill her. So it's not like she could just go in there and pick him up like, hey, come on, buddy. He would still be trying to kill her. So it was either kind of her or him. Natalie kind of came in with the suit self-piloted and kind of picked her up and grabbed her out because she was as well dying, choking to death. And it's not as if she closed the door on the man. The door just kind of closed and he was still just stuck behind it. So she will definitely blame herself for this death, like many good heroes do. But it's not as if she pulled a trigger on him. It just kind of happened.
Left him. Yeah, it's like he was coming after her. She had no choice. And she had reason to believe that her life was in danger. Jason, you've mentioned Stu one time, but Rampage is alive in the comics. Like, he doesn't just like randomly die the first time we meet him. Isn't he like a recurring character?
Rampage is not like a huge. It's definitely not a 1-for-1 comparison to this. I mean, I'm even looking it up right now because yes, the name Rampage is definitely memorable to me. But he's not a very big character in the Marvel universe at all. Like, I'm looking at him right now, it's not even ringing a bell to me just looking at him. So it's not as if it's like a 1-for-1 comparison. But yeah, it was. It was. I think Rampage is there to kind of show the evilness of John and Parker.
Yeah, he's the first person fired from the crew, Mari, and then we do talk about the rest of the crew. We meet Shea Coulee. Mari, I have a This Is Us expert here and a Shea Coulee expert here. This is a good time. What do you think about Shea Coulee in this role?
So Shea Coulee in this show plays Slug, the computer whiz, the tech whiz who gets in there and breaks up all the security stuff on all their heists.
Now talk about comparisons. Slug in the comics is like a big fat like person that does come from Madripoor, like the character in the show. But yeah, the very different interpretation.
He's
Slug.
Yeah, he's closer to Kingpin looking than Shea Coulee looking.
Yeah.
So and that's what confused me, right? Because I remember Shea had announced that she was going to be a Marvel property like a few years ago. And I thought she would be the character that she actually inspired in real life in a comic book. There's a character called Shade in Marvel who the artist actually asked Shea Coulee if they could use her likeness as a muse for that character. And it's like the first drag queen Marvel character. And so I just assumed that when Shea Coulee had announced that she was going to be in a Marvel project, I assumed that she would be that character, Shade. And so when she was introduced as Slug, I was kind of like, wait, what? When did Slug turn into Shade? So that was weird for me. Like I thought they were going to be playing a different character, but I loved it. I love Shea Coulee here in this role. I'm not going to complain. The nonchalance that of just like everybody's fighting around them, and Shea's like, oh, yeah, well, we're the computers. It was so great, and I loved the like I said, the gang of it all. Oh my god, what
that's Slug. Yeah, that's his Slug. This if you're watching on YouTube, I got a picture of him up. That's not Shea Coulee. But but Marvel has taken liberties before with the casting and stuff like that. Obviously, if Eric Andre is playing Rampage / Stu, then they're doing a lot of that anyway. But I thought it was just cool. I think Shea Coulee is a star, and so I was very happy to see them in this role amongst the crew. Jason, the crew though, these people they picked a lot of characters from the MCU. They didn't just make up random people, did they? Because I think the blood siblings are. I think
blood siblings are. I think the blood siblings were the blood brothers. I think in Marvel comics history. So they definitely are taking liberties with the different characters and reinterpreting them, which is not new to the MCU at all. It's fine. It's not as if it's going to be a 1-for-1 comparison, but I think the crew themselves. I think they do a good job to set up who they are. We're complete with a montage of like, this person does this, and it shows them doing this thing. But again, they're not really fully fleshing out the characters, which is fine. In a 6-episode show, we don't have a lot of time to do that anyway. But it's just, like I said, all the high stuff was done really, really, really well. And the thing I'll give to Ironheart is they are doing this suit really, really well. They're doing every time we see the suit is very well designed. It looks very clean, very crisp. You compare that to some graphics from She-Hulk, and it's like, okay, y'all actually put a little more money into this by making it look like an Iron Man. It looks like what an Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, what those suits look like. It's clean, crisp, and nice. It's never any like questionable graphics. I do wish they would do more with the suit, because like in episode 3, she's mainly just sitting on top of the lighthouse in the suit, or the suit is being piloted itself. It's not really doing much. So I don't know if we're going to get later into the 6 episodes where the suit's going to be doing more battle, more fighting, or I don't know if they can afford it. But it's like I want to see the suit do more, because the suit should be a big part of this show, and it's not as much as I would like it to be yet. The heist doing the underground tunnel, that was fantastic. That was so cool. Yeah. I love the little thing where she has the hand moving by itself. That was really fun. It shows that Riri. I mean, I'm sure Tony Stark could have done something similar, but it shows that she's doing her own thing as well. She's not just copying off of Stark. So it's showing that she's doing more with what she has here.
The last character I really want to flag up is somebody who, as Mari said, she looked up and he was there. His name is Ezekiel. He's going to be also known as Joe McGillicuddy. But his character is a callback to the early Iron Man days, because we found out that his dad was Obadiah Stane. Is it his name? Yeah. And he is now deceased, and his son does not want to live in like that same supervillain mode that his dad was in, using tech for evil. He has a lot of big ideas for using tech for good, and I guess this will be a central conflict in the very next episode, because he tells Riri, look, you can use my technology, you can use this biomesh skin, but I just don't want it traced back to me. I don't want this to be on my conscience. If we're friends, I can let you do this, but I don't want this back on me like my dad, because I'm really trying to shake this image of my dad. And Jason, Riri drops the biomesh and leaves it for the least to find, basically. It just ruins his relationship.
I'm afraid, like many other superheroes, Riri is creating her own nemesis by getting Ezekiel hooked up with the cops at this point. So I really, really enjoyed the relationship between Ezekiel / Joe and Riri. It starts as just like Joe is just like normal guy doing normal things, kind of being a pushover, as we see. And we fight, like when we talked about his dad being a bad guy and this, and I was like, oh, okay, I know who this is, because Ezekiel Stane is a character in Marvel comics. He is mostly an Iron Man villain, but I can see them kind of twisting it and making an Ironheart villain, which I really, really love. And I really love they had this easy camaraderie even when they first met. They're like joking with each other. It was an easy kind of relationship to get into. I thought it was really weird when she walks in and he's like just operating on himself, and she's just like, oh, cool, let me fix it up for you. I was like, you could be a little more freaked out that he's put cybernetics in his arm, but whatever. I loved how they played. I love the callback right to Iron Man 1. It's calling back to Marvel history, and I love the connection here. I love the gag of like Obadiah Stane's ashes just being in like a Ziploc bag. I was like, okay, that's really silly and really funny. I gotta love that they chose to go that route.
I popped when it said Obadiah. I was like, Obadiah Stane. I was like, was that his last name? I was like, yes, I remember. Like, and he was talking about his dad was so self-righteous, and I just think of him like quoting those Bible-esque verses at Tony when he was like trying to kill him and stuff. Like, I'm very excited to see where this goes. But then again, it's like, are we gonna get Ezekiel's turn in 3 episodes and be
because if we do,
I just made myself sad.
If we do, it will feel rushed, and
exactly
it will feel like things are too crowded, right? Because we'll have Ezekiel, we'll have the Hood, and that's like the biggest sin that a TV or movie property can make is overcrowding the board and making nothing feel important enough to really devote time to it, because we can't. So I really hope that they are able to manage these things really well. I also don't kind of hope it's like we leave on a cliffhanger of like Ezekiel is evil now, because I fear the way this is shaping up to be, and the way they just threw this out there is that I don't think we're getting Ironheart season 2. I really don't. And if history is to inform us of the future, we're not going to really see them in any more plots being sewn up this story. So I hope it feels satisfying enough when we finish the 6 episodes. I'm really, really cautious to think that, but I can keep my hopes up. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think we need a villain turn for him, because quite frankly, like you said, there are so many characters that the MCU has thrown at us that we've never touched again. So this man can just go on being Ezekiel, the good guy who she taught to stand up for himself, that they are friends. And then we will take Riri and stuff her into some random other movie spot, like we did, Miss Marvel, like that kind of thing. Like they could just put her somewhere else, but they don't need him. He's not necessary to her story continuing. If you could get her back to Rhodey or to Tony or whatever, she's fine.
I think the ideal plan for me for this group of characters is to continue this in an Armor Wars, right? This seems like the perfect way to continue that story. Will they do that? I don't know. I would love for them to do it, but I don't know. It seems like the connection between movie and TV is just not there right now. So I hope they do continue these stories, because I think an Ezekiel Stane being a part of an Armor Wars, like you had like him representing the Stains, you had Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2 in the Armor Wars, you had Rhodey, you had all these people, and Riri. I think that would make a fantastic movie. Is that what Marvel will do? I don't know. Marvel does not seem to, in current time, does not seem to want to do what we want them to do. They want to do their own thing. So we'll see. But yeah, I hope we can do these characters justice at the end of this, because currently it doesn't feel like we're doing that enough.
Yeah. Big shout out to Cree Summer, of course, who's in this, who I always have to mention every time I see her. Jim Rash from Community is back again. I think the last time we saw him, he was trying to get that very same Tony Stark Fellowship money and ends up not getting it. I think he was trying to do like a hot dog idea stand, or like in Civil War last time we saw him. And so, yeah, there's a lot of little Easter eggs in here that ultimately probably won't lead to anything, but it's been fun to kind of point them out and be like, there's the thing. They said a thing. Some quotes that we hear repeated throughout this as well. So I enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I was looking forward to the next 3 as well. I watched it the first time just for fun, because I wanted to watch it before I got spoiled. And then I watched it again to talk about it right now with y'all. And so having already watched the first 3 episodes twice, I'm really I can really say that this is one of my favorite things that Marvel has done in a while, because I have been pretty anti-Marvel, for a little bit. I'm just so tired. But Mari, is there anything else in these first 3 episodes that you feel like we need to flag up before we start to wrap up?
No, just it's just been a fun ride, a fun journey. I can't wait to see what the second half of the season brings. I definitely will say give it a chance if you haven't, if you weren't planning on it, if you're having that Marvel fatigue like a lot of us up here have. If you sit through one boring Marvel series, why don't you sit through another? This isn't boring, but I'm just saying, at least give it a chance, because again, why did I watch Hawkeye? Like, I really didn't like that. But like, just support stuff like this. They're gonna stop making them.
Yeah, and some would say that some of them should not have been made, but I really enjoyed that this was made. Jason, anything else that we need before we move on to episode 4, 5, and 6 next week?
No, I think I know I threw some criticisms out there at the show, but I think overall I really, really enjoyed watching. I think if you just take it as an experience, you'll enjoy it. Like, I keep trying to tell people with Marvel, expectation is the enemy. Just take what you're getting. Is it fun? Good. Then that's good. Great. You had a great time watching it. I had a great time watching it. Don't nitpick it too much. Just enjoy the ride. So I really enjoyed the ride. I really hope to enjoy the rest of it. Like I said, I did have my nitpicks on it, but I think overall it's a very enjoyable experience.
The first 3 episodes leave us with Riri facing some conflict moving forward. Of course, we have what happens between her and the Hood moving forward. If he finds out, it does look like he might be onto her, that she has a little bit more to her that meets the eye. We also have the conflicts between Ezekiel and the police. Hopefully, they're not in his life, but Riri did drop that biomesh. And then, of course, we have the conflict of Riri and her own grief. And we're going to be focusing on all 3 of those things, I'm assuming, in the next 3 episodes. So make sure you tune in next week, because Jason said he's going to come back to talk to us about the final 3, and we'll talk about the series as a whole next week. Jason, in the meantime, you're going to go watch Fantastic Four?
Yeah, I'm a little like, I don't love retro feeling stuff, and that feels very retro. So I of course will go watch it. There's no doubt about that. I'm just a little pessimistic on how much I will enjoy it, but I hope to be pleasantly surprised when I go watch it.
All right, and until that happens, what else you got going on?
Does that come out this week?
No, it's at the end of the month. It's in the end of the month. I just realized I hadn't asked him if he was going to watch it. I'm going to watch it too. Fantastic Four apparently is very hard to do well, because we're on strike 3 here now in these.
Listen, spoiler alert, like, bad take, I guess. But I liked the first Fantastic Four movies. I thought they were really fun and really funny. I think people look back on it and are like, it was terrible. But I think at the time we were all like, this is kind of cool. This is fun. That slop that was fantastic.
How dare you? You?
Hot garbage. Really terrible.
I only watched the very first one. I haven't seen anything after that. But I am very excited about this simply because of Pedro Pascal. And I will not apologize for that. Oh, and the guy from The Bear.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's loaded with star power, so hopefully that will.
And that the guy who plays The Rock.
The thing is Ebon Moss-Backrack, who plays Richie.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Cousin. All right. Yeah. Jason, what else you have going on in the meantime?
Listen, speaking of The Bear, me and Marissa Garza are talking about The Bear over on Whirlwind Podcast. We're covering this season. We've done episodes 1 through 7 of this season. We're going to do 8 through 10 tomorrow, so that's coming out for you guys on the Whirlwind Podcast. Also talking about the Gilded Age, also with
I was about to ask.
Over on the Gilded Pod. So we're doing that as well every week. You can also catch me every week on the podcast Perfect Match, me and Asia Welch. Survivor 47 contestant Asia Welch. She makes me say that every time I introduce her. We are talking about the show Married at First Sight. We are currently talking older seasons on our Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/perfectmatchpodcast, you can find us there. Until the new season comes out, we're talking old seasons. You can also catch me on The Good Pod, where me and Marissa Garza are talking about the show The Good Wife. It's a rewatch podcast. Listen, I'm doing way too much nowadays. And you can catch me. If any of that stuff floats your boat, that's where you can catch me.
That's amazing. I love when Jason's plugs are longer than mine. Mari, what are you working on?
Very much longer than mine, because I'm just going to plug Crime Scene over on Crime Scene Pod. Me and Sarah Carradine, of course, bring True Crime Tuesdays to you. So this past week, what do we have going on? This past week, well, coming up, we will be doing we'll be watching Grenfell Uncovered. It is a documentary on Netflix about the Grenfell apartment fire disaster in the UK that happened in 2017. It is a very poignant documentary that I cannot wait to talk to Sarah about. And we're going to have our fantastic guest, Mark Blankenship, with us as well. So go to crimescenepod.com in order to subscribe. And you can also go to buymeacoffee.com/crimescenepod in order to just, sling a couple bucks our way. It costs a lot to put on a podcast. So, if you want to support, just go there. And you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm Mari Talks Too Much, 2 Likes Number 2, where I'm more than likely skeeting about Love Island because what? What is happening this season? So yeah.
Okay. Well, look, by the time we come back, we'll be about to start dedicating our social media to Big Brother, Mari. But I do want to say, I listened to Crime Scene last week. Y'all had AJ on to talk about the Titan, and that was such a good podcast. I think you let AJ talk once or twice about it because you were fired up. It was so fun to listen to. Mari was in her bag. She comes in, I'm sorry, I'm not letting you talk. I was like, you're not sorry. You're not.
I was so angry. I was just like, there's so many things. Why did this happen? But yes.
Yeah, fun podcast. I think y'all talked about that, and y'all talked about the mayor that was on crack from Canada. And so two great podcasts in one, basically. It was so much fun. So check out Crime Scene, of course, like Mari said, and follow Mari on all the places where she can be found. Buy her a coffee, support Crime Scene podcast if you can. Support Jason as well. And then, of course, support Recap Kickback. We're here every week doing what we do. Mari and I last week talked about the Black Music Month Challenge. That podcast is out. Part 2 is out. And so go check that out and see if you can answer our questions, our prompts about what songs you would have chosen for Black Music Month. And then tune in every week to catch me and Chantel live talking about Flavor of Love. We recently talked about Heidi making a chicken in a microwave by pressing the button that says chicken. It was a good time. This week, I believe the women are going to be taking a lie detector test with special guest Brigitte Nelson. And so Chantel has been in on a ride. Okay. And if you want to catch that, we are doing it live every week on Recap Kickback's YouTube page, youtube.com/@RecapKickback. So you can go over there, check it out. You can also check it out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Chappell's_show, because we stream live there as well. And then you can follow me on all social media platforms at Recap Kickback to keep up with everything else we have going on. But until next time, for Mari and for Jason, you ain't got to go home, but please go watch Ironheart and catch us here next week. Bye. I've been trapped behind this wall, Maria. Isolated like it's North Korea. Smaller city with some bigger dreams. The wall is cracked, I'm looking in between it. The world is yours, but man, I gotta see it. They say it's hard, but man, I gotta see it. The air I'm breathing can't feel my chest. Wait on life, I wanna hold my breath. I'ma get in my goddamn self.